diabetes has found itself back in the spotlight, I'm afraid, for all the wrong reasons. This after a Benoni woman, Belinda Migor, blamed her diabetes for a voice note in which she allegedly called for black people to be banned and killed instead of pit bulls. Now, according to Sweetlife Diabetes Community, it's an element of truth in what Migor says. So let's find out what their stance on this is. I'm joined by Bridget McNulty from the organisation joining us this morning. Bridget, good morning to you. Help me understand. So there is an element of truth about how diabetes can affect what you say, but surely we can't extend that into the world of racism. Surely. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me and for giving people with diabetes the opportunity to speak out against this insane rant. First thing I want to say, just in case anyone is just watching this element, there is no way that diabetes leads to racism ever. And what she said, it was just completely unforgivable. And so the fact that she's blaming it on diabetes is just outrageous. So the only element of truth is that if your blood sugar goes very low, or if it goes very high, it can make your thinking a little foggy. So what that does, I have type 1 diabetes, my thinking sometimes gets a little foggy. What that does is it means your words might come out in a funny order if your blood sugar is low, or if your blood sugar is high, it might take you longer to get to your point, but it never leads you to say things that you don't believe. So what has probably happened, I would conjecture, not knowing this woman or anything about her, is that these are deeply held beliefs and her social filter was removed because her blood sugar was either very high or very low. And she doesn't say which it was. I found her whole account very confusing about diabetes in general. But I think what happened is that these are thoughts that should have been kept, never even thought, but definitely not voiced. And maybe if her blood sugar was high or low, her social filter was removed and so she felt she was able to say it.
Yeah,
but the fact that she is
should never have even been thought about in the first place at all. I couldn't agree with you more, Bridget. Shouldn't have been thought about in the very first place. So do you think this is just simply a cop-out?
Yes. I think she was surprised that she was caught out and had to go for something that would possibly pull some sympathy from some direction and chose diabetes. What bothers me even more, and bothers is a very mild word in this context, is that then she goes on to say, oh no, she can't hold an office job because of her diabetes, and turns the condition into something that is this like debilitating, limiting condition that's a get out of jail free card, and also means that you can't live a full life. And that is 1000% not true. People with diabetes are surgeons and doctors and parents and operating heavy machinery and holding office jobs and lawyers. There's nothing that you can't do with diabetes.
How concerned would you be as Sweetlife Diabetes, as a community, the kind of light this is going to cast on diabetes for those who don't quite understand how it works and the effects of having diabetes, either type 1 or type 2? When you have to have a conversation like you and I are having now, are you worried this could set the fight and the support structures for diabetes back a little bit?
Completely and totally. So the trouble with diabetes, 1 in 2 people are undiagnosed in South Africa. And it's the #1 killer of women in South Africa and the 2nd leading cause of death overall. So the only way to change that, right, is to get more people diagnosed. And the way to get more people diagnosed is to remove the stigma from diabetes, because then people can recognize that, hey, you can live a perfectly normal, happy, healthy life with diabetes. It doesn't have to be this death sentence. It doesn't have to be something to be ashamed of. And then you have a woman like this, who the whole country is united against, rightly so, and she's blaming her diabetes. What is that doing for diabetes stigma? It's like the exact opposite of who we want as a brand spokesperson for diabetes. So I want to encourage everyone who is listening and who can spread the word to anyone that they know that this is not the face of diabetes. Diabetes does not turn you into a racist. It doesn't turn you into anything. You're exactly the same person. You just have more to juggle with.
And then for the moment, I'm going to say thank you then, Bridget McNulty. I appreciate your time in speaking to us, and I think you've nailed it on the head as well. Having diabetes does not turn you into a racist. I don't think I could have said it better myself. Bridget McNulty from Sweetlife Diabetes Community.